Hey everybody, welcome back to this old trike. Freaking gimbal. Hey, so that was a plane taking off on the Great Sacandaga Lake. The guy's a dentist, he commutes to work, so it's pretty interesting how some people live. But I don't know if you can tell in the background, but all the leaves are changing. The sky is gray. Can't say it's all the leaves are brown, but they're getting there. I'm unattended today. My wife and daughter are out having a mommy-daughter day, and my boys are up at my mom's house. I'm left to do whatever I want to do. And I've been thinking about making a video about the 1984 ATC lineup, Honda ATC lineup. And I'm a little bit, it's going to take a little bit to put this together. So that's what we're going to do today. And hopefully position me to put some summer toys away because winter is coming. And that's just one of the things we got to do. So let's get this underway. It's probably going to take me an hour to get this set up. And that might be being optimistic. So here we go. All right, let's formulate our plan. We're looking for 84s. Blue 84 there. That's an 84, but it's not a three-wheeler. 84. 84. 84. Shoot, 84. Another 84. That's an 84. Man, is this even worth it? Well, we got to do something anyway. We're gonna need the tractor to get that 70. We got to make some moves. You want to watch the moves? Okay. Okay, that takes care of the 84s in here. I opted not to use the blue 84 110 because I've got the blue 84 110 in here with the fairing on it, so we'll use that one. I gotta make a little exit way. Still no new tires on this 83 185S. One rim has been sandblasted, the other has not made its way in. But I do have some Scorpions, somewhere around here, that I'm going to put on it. So let's get this blue 110 out of here. All right, another one is out. Now we'll go into this room. Let's see. How many are left? I gotta get the better lights on, but 1, 2, 3, Just 3. Well, shoot, this should go quick, shouldn't it? Famous last words. I don't want to move the stack of flooring that I've acquired. So what's going to be the the best way to get this guy out, right? Well, we'll just figure it out. Here we go. Well, I thought I was gonna ride that 250R right out of here, but I guess it burned off the starter fluid, the wake-up juice. I don't know, maybe I got a gas flow issue. Didn't have a lot of gas in the tank. Just never had an issue with that machine. Let's get these lined up. Biggest to smallest, I guess, and we'll get going. Okay, everybody, we are all lined up in an order that makes sense to me. I don't know if the wind is going to factor into our audio quality, but let's show you the lineup. So I present to you the 1984 Honda ATC Lineup. So this is a compilation of all the ATC models that Honda put out for the model year 1984. So we've been going back in time. We've done 87, 86, 85, and here we are at 84. So from this, the model quantities per year get less and less. So it's not going to be as much of a wow factor as it was for 85, but in this time period, Honda was innovating massively. And so this is just before things got really serious. So 85 and 86 were the pinnacle. 87, things were declining because of the consent decree. We've talked about this all in previous videos, so you can dig down into the archive to learn about those, but we're going to go through each one of these. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I think I know about them. Make up a little stuff here and there if I don't. Not really, but I'll try not to. But we'll start with the smallest here, the 1984 ATC 70. So how do I know it's an 84? Well, it's got a sticker on it. We can semi-trust that. Now look at this. This was made in January of 84, which could be a little late. A lot of 84 models were made in 83, so but the model year would be 84, so don't be surprised if yours was made sometime in 83. Let's see, let's look at the VINs. Hard to see. The E is what we're looking at, and the E is right there, if you can see it. E denotes 84. That's the 10th digit in. All of these should have an E in the VIN. F would be 5, 85. G, my little trick looks like a 6, so G is 86. H is 87. They skip I for 88 because it looks like a 1, and they jump to J. So there's only one J in my collection, though. Anyway, 84 ATC 70. This is the smallest. If you had a a 5 to 8, 9-year-old entry-level machine, you want to give them something to ride, you'd get the 70 for them. This is a 4-speed. I can't remember if it was 83 or maybe this was the first year 4-speed. I'll double check and correct myself on the screen if I need to. But all of these will say this: 84, with the exception of the sport machines, this excludes that. 84 is the last year that the automatic shift was downshift. So all of these are downshift. In 85, everything goes upshift. Just FYI. So this is the last ATC 70 that was a downshift. It has the black seat. 85 got the blue seat. There is no 70. This is a factory seat. None of these are mint condition. They're respectable. They're good survivor quality. This says original tires on the rear, but not on the front. You can see they're hanging on. A lot of these tires are hanging on, but I'd rather have a tire like that than a Chang Shin on the front. But ATC 70 was the smallest model. If you're a little bit bigger fella, boy or girl, whatever, you could graduate to the ATC 110. This is pull start. Both of these pull start. And the 110 came in 2 different colors. They did this in 83 and 84, so you could get it in your typical Honda red, or they call this Superior Blue. It was not a Christmas special, quote unquote, as we've come to understand those models. These were just blue 110s. You could order it, you could get it. It wasn't a giveaway or a raffle. A lot of people will erroneously call those Christmas specials. People call blue 70s Christmas specials, and people will argue that those aren't really Christmas specials. But anyway, let's talk about the 110s. Pull start. High-low range on these guys. So the high-low range is down there. Kind of same idea as the early Big Reds. I'll show you. I'll point that out to you. A lot of people don't like these because of the seat coming up and kind of forming into the gas tank. My buddy PJ Hart despises these, but he gets a little cranky sometimes. So, take that with a grain of salt. These came stock with a grab bar like that. You could get some options on this. You could get the rear rack. You could get the rear rack in chrome. Normally it would be black. You could get a headlight guard around this. You could get a front rack that would mount kind of on your lower triple cross member. You could get a speedometer. I'm not sure what else you could get. But that's the 84 110 in red, the 84 110 in blue also, actually. Let's talk about the fairing. You could get a fairing for these. Now, the thing with the fairings, and I've done a video on this, so if you haven't seen that video and you're wondering and want more information about Honda line fairings, find that video. The fairing itself is the same shape for all these models. So you'll see one, I'll jump ahead here on this 200S. The shape is identical. What differs is the bracketry that connects it to your front. So the 200S had a different set of brackets than the 110 did. And the 110 bracketry would fit on a 125M because it's the same front end, except one has a brake and one doesn't. You see that? Front brake, no front brake. Front brake, no front brake. I think you got it. You could get the fairing on your 250R or your 200X. The Big Reds really didn't get the fairings. So sometimes you'll see a windshield on that and people think it's awesome, but it's just a windshield. It's not Honda line. But those are the 110s. High-low range, pull start. You want something a little bit more special. It's basically the same chassis with some minor differences, I'll point out. But with a 125M, you get electric start. Does this have a charged battery in it? I bet it doesn't, and it doesn't. But this would have electric start if the battery was charged. Because it has a starter motor right there. You'll notice the starter motor. Nothing there. Because it has a starter motor, which needs a battery to operate, they stick the battery... Oh, this has 0 battery, so no wonder. There's where the battery box is. But because they put the battery box there, they couldn't route the exhaust through the frame like they did on the 110. So, The exhaust on the 125M is off to the side. So a lot of the parts between the 84, 85, 125M and the 83, 84, 85, 110 are interchangeable. But some things aren't because of the battery configuration. I have swapped seats between 110s and 125Ms trying to get, you know, a better seat. These seat pans are notorious for, you know, you get a little crack in the vinyl and your foam gets wet and it sits and it rots your seat pan out. And there's a couple guys making fiberglass seats that are out there now. If you want to find those, you got to get on Facebook and search around and you'll find them. But the metal pans are bad, and you don't staple them. They have the little triangle teeth that bite into the seat cover. So if that starts to rot and it fails, you'll see them start to pull here. You know, the fabric is loose. You'll see foam there. That's a good indicator that your seat pan is shot. Anyway, that is the 110s, the 125Ms. Great machines. A lot of adult, you know, full-grown men love their 125Ms. That's great. They must have never ridden a 350X. No, I'm just kidding. It's a great entry-level small machine. If you got tight trails or something, you don't want a big machine, something you can throw around, these are great. Before we go too much further, we can tell stories about where everything came from. This came from a buddy of mine in Vermont, Levi Pombar. I did a trade deal. You know, he bought a blacked out 500 cc 350X from me with a Goki starter. The thing was sick, and I loved it, but I wanted other things, so I had to let it go. And this was part of our trade deal on it, and it's very respectable. Fenders are decent, original tires, but you'll see these are all dry rotted. And this one actually, yeah, look, the sidewall is letting loose. They're tubed. It's fine. It would never take a new tube. The fact that it's tubed is what's keeping air in the tires, but the rims aren't quite the right color. You know, that's, I guess, better than a rusty rim maybe. But I've had this, I don't know, 2018, I think maybe I got it. This blue one I got from Tyler Mayfield. I think Tyler lives in Indiana. He had these and would share pictures of this one and another one on Facebook for a long time, and I messaged him, and eventually we became friends through going to Trike Fest, and I let him know that I would absolutely love to buy them, because the only other blue fairing I've ever seen was in a Harvey Spooner video out on like his parts pile, and it was all sun faded. It looked, you know, light blue, and it was bad, but I've never seen a blue fairing on another machine. So Tyler did me a really good deal on this and the other one, and very thankful for that. I did a video on the other one I got from him and the two I had, plus a Christmas special a couple years ago. Look for that video. I think that was 2020. I think. Man, time flies. This one I think I got out of New Jersey. This was I bought a guy out. I think I bought 24 machines, and there were some nice ones, some 350Xs, some 250Rs. That might have come from the same place, maybe. Can't remember. Let's say it did. But that's where these came from. I've had everything running at one point, but tried to start a couple of them, and they were giving me a hard time today. But that's what I get. So you want something a little bit bigger. You want a man's machine. Tim Keister would appreciate that comment. So you'd go out and get yourself an 84 200S. Now, 84, this was the first year of the 200S. Prior to this, they made the 185S. And you know, they bumped up the displacement. The frame is a little different. They go to a kind of one-piece, well, no, the 185S was one-piece fender, but that's bolted down. So when you pull the fenders, pull the seat on a 200S, you're just pulling the seat. When you do that on a 185S, you get the whole fenders off too. So Similar size chassis, but a totally new design. A lot of people ask, what's the S stand for? What are all these letters? M, E, ES. Some are easy, some are not. So jumping ahead, but we're going to come back. The big red, the 200 ES in 84 was the first year of the 200 ES. Electric start, shaft drive. So everybody is pretty much in agreement with that. And the X is more of like the cross-country sport, you know, the you know, not the R, not the race machine, but you know, it's good in the woods. ES, electric start, shaft. 200E, this might throw you for a loop. I'll explain more in a minute. What's an 84 200E? What's a 200E doing in the 84 lineup? Well, it is an 84 200E, just not sold in America, but we'll come to that. But the E had chain drive, but electric start. So, all right, ES over here, S is shaft. 200S, well, that's a chain drive. So what's the S for here? My theory is, you know, the whole 200cc motor started with the 185 motor, and that started in 1980. The 1980 ATC 185, no letter, was the start. And it was a similar size chassis to these guys. It wasn't electric start, it was pull start, no high-low, just a basic machine. And then in 81, they kept that machine, but they bumped the displacement up to 200. But that's when they came out in 81 with the 185S. So what's the S? Could the S be small? So in 1980, they had the 185. And then in 81, they introduced the 185 small. Maybe. I don't know. S, could it be sport? 1981 185 wasn't super sporty. It was sportier than the 185. So that could be something there. I don't know. That's my best guess. I always think it's small. So, what's the M? 84 is the first year of the M. You know, we got to think what's happened. If we look at the 200, you know, the 1984 200M, the year before this, 1983, was the last year of the ATC 200 no letter. Roughly the same size, but different design. You know, these all share the same rear fenders. This has got a different front end on it. This shares the same front end as a 1983 ATC 200 no letter, but the fender's different. And these are so hard to find that aren't cracked. I don't know why. This thing's been through some stuff, but we'll come back to that. The suspension is different. Like the front forks on a Big Red are different than the 200M. I don't know what the M stands for. More? It's like the 200, but it's more. Let's back up. We weren't done talking about the 200S. This is what you get with me. Maybe I was done. I don't know. I've done a 200S video. Dig through the archives. You can find a comparison of the 81, 82, 83, 185S compared to the 84, 85, 86, 200S. This is the first year of the 200S, and I'll take this moment to note. You know, I try to give you guys cheats on how to recognize model years based on tank decals. 83 has the hockey stick. 84 has the overlapping hockey stick. So it's like a dual hockey stick. Picking up what I'm putting down? For the most part. Then these guys have different decals, but yeah. 84 200E. You could get a rear rack. You could get a front rack. You could get the fairing. You could get a Speedo. And more. If I can dig up more options, I'll post them on the screen. So in our graduation to bigger and badder machines, you get the 200M. And we've just talked about this. What does the M stand for? I don't know. Differentiating itself from the 200E or the Big Red, there is no high-low range. 200S has no high-low range. 125M does have high-low. So you got a basic 5-speed motor here, automatic. Everything's automatic, except for when we get the 200X and the 250R. Neighbor's dog has just realized I'm outside. You could get a rear rack as an option. The standard rear rack was black. You could also get chrome. my very good buddy MRC Builds. If you watch him on YouTube, continue to do so. If you've never heard of him, check him out. Here's a link to his page, or a screenshot of his page, so you can go find his videos. He acquired a 200M that had a chrome front rack and a chrome headlight guard, and he sent that to me for my birthday last year. And one of these days I'm gonna get this 200M in my shop and put that all on. But these are a great machine. They're a stripped down version of the Big Reds. I don't fully understand why they did this, but they did. Now here's interesting. I mentioned all the fenders are the same. So prior to 84, 83, the 83 200E, this fender comes straight down at an angle because it could do that and still clear this sub-transmission, this high-low, so the fender goes down like this. But in 84, they cut it out because they've got to go around the new sub-transmission, which includes reverse. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but I want to point out this fact that this fender in 84 is all the same, but it's different than an 83 Big Red front fender. Got me? Okay, good. But that's that. I don't know what else to say. Electric start. There's a lot of commonality between these machines. Like, this has the same dash as the 84 200E, which will explain what the heck this thing is if you've never seen it before. The rear ends very similar. Different tow hitch. Tow hitch on this would have been an option, but trunks are the same. All of these are the same. I don't want to pull those off. Yeah, so this thing I got also from New Jersey, in that big deal that I did, and it was on a pallet, and all the tires were flat. And I think what happened early on in its life, it got crashed, and that's where this happened. It's got a tweak to it, and you can see the rear rack kind of dips down. Like, I think it was rolled, and then it was parked, and it sat, and the tires deflated, and I managed to tube them years ago, 2017, 2018. I got them to hold air, but they are badly dry rotted. So this is a shower, not a goer, really. But it's in really nice shape, other than that. This 200S was kind of a local buy. This was maybe an hour away. Didn't have the fairing on it, but everything else was as it is. I think I paid $900 for it. But this was 2018 or something like that, and one of those things I could go down at lunch and pick it up and bring it home. And I put the fairing on it a couple years ago. I forget where I got the fairing, but that's the story. All right, let's talk about this thing. So last year I did a bunch of videos on this, the restoration of it. Maybe you've seen those, maybe you haven't. Maybe you're just clicking on this because you're curious about the 84 Honda lineup. Well, this is part of it. This was not sold in the US. They, in 84, went to the shaft drive Big Red. In 83, they had a chain drive electric start Big Red. And I don't know, but I'm guessing that maybe they didn't want to just scrap the chain drive chassis that were still laying around. So they went to an 84 model 200E. The first time I saw one of these was on Instagram. My buddy Kyle, Old School Hondas, he shared a picture that a guy submitted, and the guy was from Finland, Lapland, Finland. And I was just, thumbing through and checking things out. And I got to this one, I was like, wait a minute. That tank decal is the wrong way. It's laid back. Did somebody put it on backwards? But I was like, no, it's different. That is not that backwards. That is different. What the heck is going on here? So I wrote the guy, I did some research, I went to CMSNL, that website, and I found the schematics for the 1984 200E, and I was like, son of a biscuit, this is some oddball model. So even the exhaust, look at the exhaust guard. That is not that. It's different. That exhaust guard is that exhaust guard. So there's a lot of commonalities here. It's like a hybrid between the 200M and the 200E, really. Anyway, so I eventually found one. My buddy Risto, I'm kind of reiterating the story from these other videos, but my buddy, who's now my buddy, who was a stranger at first, Risto, in Helsinki, outside of Helsinki, Finland, helped me find this one, helped me get it. Had to send it to my buddy Nick in the Netherlands, whole. So we trucked it from Finland to the Netherlands. Nick, awesome guy, Nick Duvall. If you ever want to buy something or sell something to him, he's honest, he's trustworthy. I can't recommend him enough. Awesome dude. He stripped it down for me, crated it, shipped it air freight to me, and it got delivered right there. And then it got brought into my shop right there. And then we put it back together, but we restored it. So that's the story of this. So they weren't sold in the US, really obscure markets. I've seen pictures of them on Instagram coming out of Chile. I've seen, I think I've seen Australia. I've seen a lot of them in Finland, Sweden. That's all I can remember. So I don't think any of the main markets got them. They were just trying to get rid of the stuff in the periphery markets. But any of these machines, so any of these that have a rack, the 200 series, 82, 83, 84, these little ears on your rack, if you ever wondered what those were for, you looked at these and like, why did they do this? What's that about? Well, it was about a generator. You get one of these nice EM500 generators. They're in the promotional literature where, guy mending fences, he's got his drill out there, so you could do that. And there's actually a Honda line strap, and this is not it. This is like stretchy, and I actually had an accident coming home from Trike Fest where this bounced and ended up down here and gouged my fender, and it's kind of a crappy thing, but get the Honda line strap, that wouldn't happen. But that's what those are about. Front racks are standard. I put little magnets on this, so my baskets I can interchange. I'm just using them around the house. But here, the international models get the extra riveted on VIN tag. So there's the E for 84, and this is a repop made to copy the original one. So got that from Blue Line. Not these, but all these decals are from Blue Line Graphics. Bruce at Blue Line, reach out to him for all your needs. He's awesome. He is the best. Easy to work with, so let's plug him. But you'll notice the decal here has all the polka dots in it. This decal is just straight up silver. It is starting to rain. Maybe I shouldn't talk as much. But this has the polka dots. So super interesting. Because these decals, when you first look, you're like, oh, it's like that. But it's not. Because it's got the polka dots. And that's just straight silver. So it is its own unique decals. Far out, right? Yeah, I know. So check out my restoration videos on this. I'm going to be getting wet, but we're going to keep going. Didn't do this to quit now. 84 200 ES. This is the machine, not the exact one, but the model that I grew up on. And they are bulletproof. This is the most mass-produced three-wheeler, period. Over 200,000 of these, allegedly, were manufactured and sold. And this is what I learned to ride on. We had this, and we had an 84 TRX 200. But I ended up liking the three-wheeler more because it was a little bit faster. Basically the same motor, same drivetrain, a little bit different rear end. But these introduced, this is the first Honda three-wheeler with reverse. And they've kind of got this little bit of a clunky high-low reverse select option. A lot of times these caps are missing. A lot of times this knob is missing. I've seen some that have a different knob, so I don't know what's going on with that. But 84, fun fact, plastic seat pans on these guys. So 83, 200E, and 82 have metal seat pans. 84 have plastic, but all will interchange, as will an 85 200M and an 85 200ES, if you've ever heard of one of those. But these are original tires on this. I think these are tubed. Those are original tubed, not original to this machine, but correct OEM. They're Dunlops. These are great. Hardtail workhorses. Racks are standard on these. You could get a speedometer. You could get some foot inserts that go on top of those. I forget what else. They show these in the catalog with a spotlight. You could get a basket for the front, or a box, or this headlight guard. They show a speedometer, but then they make a note in the literature that a speedometer isn't compatible. But I know a few people, friends of mine, that have put speedometers on them. Not speedometers, spotlights. They say the spotlights aren't compatible. Sorry. But I've got friends like my buddy Greg Monmany up in New Hampshire. He's got one on there. I guess he's in Vermont now. But it's fun to say New Hampshire. He's put one on, so apparently they do work. But this, up to this point, is the child's, and with the exception of 200S for men like Tim Keister, and workhorse utility machines. Now we get into the sport models, but let's recall where I got these from. So this came from my buddy Chad Bennett. Can't speak highly enough of Chad. I've got a number of machines that came from him. Some aren't here with me anymore, but like this one was one of the first that he sold me, and talked about where this one came from. Finland. This one came from the New Jersey deal, so I guess I wasn't too far behind. Okay, two left. We've got the 84 200X and the 84 250R. So 84 200X, this is the second year of the 200X. It looks very, very similar to the 83. It's very, very similar also to the 85, which I happen to have sitting back there, but the color scheme changed. I've got a video on 200Xs. If you wonder what all the differences are, check that video out. But real quick, it's pretty much the same. This one's a really clean example. I got this from my buddy Toby in 2020. One of the main differences on an 83 versus the 84 is the swing arm. This is that square tubular construction that we're used to seeing. They were a little bit weird in 83. They kind of like over-engineered it and made it out of round tube, and it's funny looking. But these are your basic first gen 200X. I don't know what to say. If you've watched my channel a lot, you know I'm not super like in love with these. They're fine. I don't know. I've never ridden this one. I've never started it. I think it came out of Toby's basement, so I've just kind of been respecting its niceness. And this has been a push only. So if that offends you, good. I hope it offends you. If it doesn't, then you get it. I really don't care. I appreciate you guys watching though, whether it offends you or not. I'm just doing me. You should do you. I'll do me. That's what we do. This is an 84 250R. So this is the big dog. This is why it's at the end. Biggest displacement. Second gen 250R. Second year of the second gen. Fourth year of the 250R. So these came about in 81. 82 was the first 2 years, the first gen. There's differences between those quite a bit. 83, 84 are the 2 years of the second gen. The biggest difference between 83 and 84 is the rear suspension. These get a little bit higher in the rear, but they look very similar sitting next to each other. And they're fun machines. These are air-cooled, not liquid cooled. These are 2-stroke. Everything else 4-stroke. In case you don't know that, 4-stroke auto, 4-stroke standard. 1 down, 5 up. No, 1 down, 4 up. 1 down, 4 up. But this is air cooled 2-stroke. So these just have a cool sound. And as you saw in my time lapse, I thought this one was going to start for me today, but it didn't want to, so I didn't understand that. But we'll try to figure out what's going on with that at a later time. They're fun to ride, but they are no 3rd gen. They're no liquid cooled. That really changed things when Honda did that. They were really coming into their own. But this is stock. It's got the stock front. These are woolly boogers, like old school. Period correct. You can see they've had some screws in them, so this thing may have been raced on the ice, but this tire has no screws, but it's barely hanging on. These 2 tires are very similar, 250R 200X, but this is an Oates Pro Vector, and this is a Dunlop. Isn't that weird? It's like the same tire, 23.5. What are you? 23.5. But look at them. Look at how similar they are. I guess the 2 on the side are a little bit different. Look a little different. But man, super duper similar. Anyway, what else? You could get a fairing on this. I can't remember all the options. But this is the 84 lineup. I guess we'll wrap it up here. If you have any questions or things I said wrong, leave them in the comments. Share this with your 3-wheeler friends. Tell them how stupid I am for not riding them or whatever. Or if you like them, share the video, and that really helps out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I don't know if I'll get to the 83 lineup before the weather changes. As you can see, we are past peak here in upstate New York, the true upstate, not you know, Poughkeepsie or the Catskills. That's still downstate for us. Not to be confused with the North Country, like Plattsburgh and places up there where things get weird. Anyway, let's close this out. For me and these 1984 3-wheelers. Who would have thought that after, Jesus, going to be 40 years next year, that these things would still be running and riding on original tires in some cases. Kind of sketchy, but thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, like I said, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.